Welcome back for another helping of Oysters, Clams, and Cockles, bringing you the best TV shows and movies weekly in an easily digestible podcast packed with laughs by myself, Ross Bolen, and my dear friend and co-host, Mr. Barrett Dudley. Barrett, we aren't going to be movie theater moguls after all.
No, it really did not work out for us.
AMC holders.
So much on that one. You know, I envisioned, someday just kind of like owning my own AMC theater.
Right, that's what
I thought that's
that I'd
where
be able
this
to
was
take
headed.
my family to literally our own AMC theater
Right.
at the end of the day because I bought AMC stock at $16.50 several days ago. That was the vision I had.
Yeah.
That it turns out may have been a little off base.
Yeah, I thought it was a rocket ship, and it turns out it's more of a paddle boat.
It is more of a paddle boat. It's a gaming ship, but there's all the games have been stripped away.
Now, I keep hearing, I just keep hearing these murmurs that it's going back up.
Yeah.
That all we got to do
is just hold
is
longer.
hold on and have diamond hands
For longer.
as they're saying.
Yeah.
And look, my position is far smaller than yours is.
Well,
so I have...
Just feels like a direct kick in the dick right now.
So I have zero reason to sell because, like, at this point, if I sell, I'm just like, I'm not even getting enough money back for it to matter.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for me at this point, it's not about money, Barrett. It's about making a statement, and it's about making sure that every member of my family down the line, until Bolens are wiped from the face of the earth, is forced to carry this burden the way that I have. So I have legally ensured that none of my inheritance, wherever it goes, whoever gets the AMC stock will be forced to hold it. I will never sell it. I think I'm down like 56% on my investment. And that investment will stand until breath ceases to pass through my body, and then until on and on and on and on through the generations. Bolens will hold AMC forever.
Here's the thing: this cash influx, regardless of what is happening to the stock price at the moment,
Sure,
may have
actually saved the movie industry.
actually saved AMC.
Specifically AMC, yeah.
So there really is a world where you just hold on to this stock.
And one day in the, near to not so distant future, 15, 16 years from now,
it gets back up. Like I'm saying, like one of the comments that I keep seeing today is you don't lose any money if you don't sell.
That's technically true.
Technically true. Like, despite the fact that the rest of my portfolio, is a shining beacon of
hope
of success
and prosperity.
I don't have any of that money.
That's true.
It's just sitting there. It's not.
It's numbers on a screen, Barrett.
It's just numbers on a screen. I don't have any of those gains or losses until I sell that stock. So I advise everybody to continue holding. Forget that you invested the money. And look, man, I'm feeling relatively optimistic today.
Not financial advice.
I know that this is different for every state, but right now, the University of Texas Health Department does not have enough 1B candidates to go get the vaccine, for them to hit their numbers and use all their vaccine doses and not let it go bad and all that. Like, they don't even have enough 1B candidates. You can sign up right now and get your name in the pool to potentially get the vaccine within the next month or two.
Okay.
So, like, things are like, I'm just saying, like,
You think we're closer than...
Vax me up, daddy. Because I am ready for that injection. Bill Gates microchip my shit up.
Absolutely.
And let me get back to going to AMC so that I can one day own my own AMC movie theater and we can both be movie moguls.
That's all I really wanted here.
Do you see the flow chart that I'm putting out
here,
Ross?
I see this energy you're putting into the world is good.
Mogul.
Yes, I'm loving this. It's all come full circle. We all get vaccinated. We all go to the moon as rich movie moguls.
That's right.
I just want to add in here that yes, I'm also excited for Daddy Elon and Gates to chip me up and ship me to the moon. But that none of this has been financial advice in any way, shape, or form.
That is true.
And I have taken disturbing losses on this AMC stonk that I was very excited about. I also wanted to say up front, Barrett, did you watch Saturday Night Live this past weekend?
I did.
It returned.
Yes.
The season started. It was hosted by Jim. I'm sorry, what's his real name?
John Krasinski.
John Krasinski, married to Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt.
I did it. Who he just had to throw that out there. By the way, if you're married to another famous person and you do not shout them out when you host SNL, you're getting a divorce.
That you better shout them out.
You got to give a shout out.
Yeah.
So we did. But also, look, SNL is always a mixed bag.
Yes.
We've talked about SNL many times over the course of the years that this podcast has been done. You and I, for different reasons, you're more of an SNL guy than I am. Like you've watched much more SNL than I have. I've watched a lot of the historic SNLs more than you have, the old ones.
No, I am through and through an SNL fan, regardless of how I feel
Good,
the
bad,
season is
cast
going.
season, doesn't matter.
I
You're
watch
there
SNL,
every year, and that's the difference between. I only am there when it's really good, which hasn't been a thing in my lifetime. So I'm just kidding, but it's been a long time. SNL is very hit or miss. It's the nature of the show. So when people tune into SNL who haven't in a long time, they are often off-put because it's like, what? One of those skits out of the 5 was funny. What the hell was this? But that's the nature of sketch comedy for the most part. This show is put together week by week, trying to tackle current events and make jokes on and off the cuff, that Twitter users and stand-up comedians have weeks, if not months, to practice, hone in on, and make and perfect. They're making these jokes that Saturday.
Well, and you bring up a great point, which has only gotten worse, but over the last 5 years, really, that thing where like Twitter comedians get to make all of the good jokes the day that something happens.
The moment, yeah.
And it all goes viral and it all gets shared and people are posting the tweets on Instagram and there's Reddit and there's all these spots to share your jokes and like be a comedian.
Yep. It's
so
a
by
fucking nightmare for SNL.
By the time it gets to Saturday, like we're already everybody in the entire world is like game stopped up, made all the jokes already.
Yep.
Like
every meme culture has fucked SNL so hard.
So it's that's a massive hurdle for them to jump over.
You're not kidding, Barrett.
Every week to not only have a very limited time to build a sketch around all this stuff, but then also to like try to say something original and new and not just be derivative of what is already permeated culture through Twitter and Instagram and memes and
I'm imagining like watching this unfold as an SNL writer, writing a hilarious joke, getting on Instagram the next morning, Wednesday, let's say it is, and seeing my joke in a meme and being like, "God damn it!"
So I just since we're here to talk about this, or since we're talking about this right now, I will just add my favorite sketch of the night was one that tackled GameStop by not tackling GameStop.
Which one was it?
So it was the one where John Krasinski plays like a talking head economist on MSNBC or whatever to talk about the whole GameStop thing.
Right.
And his 2 creepy murder children twins keep interrupting and doing crazy, wild, stupid, silly stuff.
So you know how everybody and everyone listening, you know how everybody's been interviewed over Zoom and anybody they bring in as a correspondent on BBC or CNN or ESPN, they're in their home with like a setup, right? This was that. We've all seen the funny things that have happened. A woman recently on the BBC had a large white floppy penis on her shelf, dildo penis that she left up there. Fucking hilarious. But so the joke was Krasinski's being interviewed, and in the background, right behind him, is this piece of art that is a man ripping his own face off. And it's hilarious from the get-go. So the other news person says, like, Pete, could you, what is that drawing, that very graphic drawing right behind you? And he's like, I wouldn't worry about that. Like one of my kids drew it. They draw it out. He has evil twin children. Yeah. They inevitably take over the entire sketch. It is very, very funny, and it was probably my favorite of the night as well.
Yeah. So it's like that is where, and I my note for SNL is that there's a balance somewhere between being topical.
That's what it is.
And like talking about what's happening in politics in the world. But for me, my favorite sketches are when sketch comedians just get let loose to like go crazy, basically.
Like find an angle that's it's relevant, but you don't have to every goddamn thing. And they go too direct a lot of the time, which would be my only critique.
Right, and I know that they at this point they feel like that's a responsibility almost.
I know, but it's not.
And they got it, but they need to put. And I don't mind that they do some of that, but I think that they would be better served to include a little more zaniness. And pull back a little bit on trying to be extreme, like so on topic and culturally
viral and competing with the meme culture.
Yeah. And I do believe that as we get further and further away from Trump, they will get to return to a little bit more of that balance.
I agree too. I agree with that too. It's just like it's the most difficult circumstances SNL has ever operated under, bar none, in terms of comedy. And once again, this was sort of a reminder of that for me, where a lot of the sketches I was just like, what the fuck were they thinking here? Or like, why would you write that joke? Or I could tell, Weekend Update when the two dudes are going back and forth.
Yep.
I think half the jokes that they said, as they were saying them, I was like, oh my God, they hate this joke. Like, he hates this joke. He's laughing at how bad the joke he's reading is before he's finished the joke. And I was just like, God damn, this is such a hard job. I also just wanted to comment, the other thing that SNL does that I cannot stand, we get it. Like, y'all got to make headlines, but you're trying too hard and making it too obvious. Krasinski kissing
Pete
Davidson as Pam as the big opening was just a awkward moment for me. Not in a gay way, like in a what?
Yeah.
What year is it? Did they just like that was like some shit that would have been a racy and funny in like 2007.
Yeah.
It's 2021 and they're out here making weird like
So,
what if we got the two famous guys to kiss each other? Okay. That's great.
Yeah. I don't know why this is. It doesn't seem like it would be pandemic related, but this season of SNL, and so we ended SNL last spring with them doing a few basically remote shows.
Right.
It was all over like Zoom. It was all,
they found some creative ways to piece stuff together.
This season, they're obviously back. They're like sports. They figured out a way to bubble it, and everybody's tested every day and like the whole shebang.
Right.
And they can put on the shows. But for whatever reason, the monologues and the openings I felt have been lacking this entire season. And I don't know why that is, but I don't know. There's something a little off about all of them. They have not been as funny and as good as they usually are, and I'm not totally sure why that is.
I think a lot of it's circumstantial, like we were talking about too.
Yeah, probably so.
But all in all, it's one of those things I try to check in with every once in a while. I happened to get the opportunity with my mom this weekend. She was in town. She's a big SNL person like Barrett, so I made sure I got to watch it with her. And it was just like, I always love going back, man. I love SNL as a cultural touchstone that we all have. It's very important to me that that I stay plugged in there, but I can't go back too often because, frankly, Keenan, I can't. I can't watch him suffering on there anymore. They've got to let him go. I don't mean fire him. I mean release the man to do anything else. Anything else.
He has his own sitcom debuting, I believe, this fall.
Thank Christ.
I think this is his last season on SNL.
Please, sir. I loved you as a child. You're haunting me at this point.
How did you? I know this is a little off topic, but I just wanted to get your thoughts on Machine Gun Kelly. Likely fiance of Megan Fox.
Okay, Machine Gun Kelly, who I have known as MGK and a rapper.
Yes.
Was the musical guest on SNL, and the first song he performed, I didn't catch the second one, was much more of a punk rock situation.
His entire new album
is singing.
Is basically like, hey, do you remember Sum 41?
I could do that.
Well, that's me now, but also I used to be a rapper, and it's 2021, so it sounds a little bit different.
Which, honestly, I was kind of in with it.
Yeah, like, it's pretty good.
My mom, bro, I'm sitting next to my mom. My mom is a 62-year-old woman, right? She goes, this is pretty good. And I was like, you know what, Mom? It is pretty good. And then my mom's, she's looking at the guy. He's dressed like completely insane for her generation. Yeah. And she even goes, at least his outfit matches. She was like, so that people can know he knows how to do that. And I was like, man, me and my mom are really high on Machine Gun Kelly right now. We're really big MGK fans.
Shouts to MGK, man.
I thought he pulled it off, though, for real.
Doing what you're doing. No, he is pulling it off.
Barrett, this was not Lil Wayne attempting to be...
No, it was not.
This was legit.
Yeah,
he can actually do it.
To be able to do this music well.
Yeah, so all in all, I was extremely excited with SNL. And on that note, we will move on to our next topic of choice. But first, this episode is sponsored by Bluechew. Let's talk about something we could all use more of right now, Barrett. Sex. You and I say it all the time to each other.
All the time.
We say, Barrett, Ross, what could we use more of? Sex. Great sex. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Good old-fashioned sex. Guys, you can now increase your performance and get the extra confidence you need in bed with BlueChew.com. That's blue like the color blue, BlueChew.com. Bluechew brings you the first chewable with the same FDA-approved active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis. You can take them anytime, day or night, even on a full stomach, so you can be ready whenever the opportunity arises. Bluechew is made in the USA. It's prescribed online by licensed physicians, so you don't have to go to the doctor or wait in line. It's even cheaper than a pharmacy, and they prepare and ship it right to you in a discreet package. No awkwardness. You don't even need to leave the house. If you could benefit from more confidence where it counts, Bluechew is the way to go. It's fast and easy to enhance your performance. Right now, they've got a special deal just for our listeners in the Clam fam. You visit bluechew.com and get your first shipment free when you use the special promo code OCC. All you have to do is pay $5 in shipping, bluechew.com, first shipment free, code OCC. Again, that's BLUEchew.com, promo code OCC to try it free. Bluechew is the better, cheaper choice. We thank them for sponsoring the podcast. Remember, when you support our sponsors, you help make this podcast possible, so please be sure to use our code OCC at bluechew.com. This is one of those things that, just like everything else, as we've found a new age in technology and the internet, you don't need to be going to the doctor's office and going and standing in line at the pharmacy to receive these wonderful drugs that you need and love. So go to bluechew.com, promo code OCC to try it for free. Just pay $5 in shipping. And now, Barrett.
Yes.
Let's discuss the HBO Max thriller that was released over the weekend, starring Denzel Washington, Jared Leto, and Rami Malek. I watched it. You did not.
I did not, and this was due to you posted on your Instagram stories or on our Instagram stories.
I did.
That
my take, one of my takes,
your take on the movie,
and you were like, I don't even know if this means I should or shouldn't watch it.
And you basically boiled it down to say, if you are a big time fan of the thriller crime genre, it's worth a watch.
But if you're
not then don't.
So that's my stance, basically.
So then I went to Rotten Tomatoes. I looked through some of the reviews, and I thought, I don't know.
What were they saying? Because I didn't look.
Good performances, but basically kind of a throwaway story.
Look, the thing I didn't know about this movie is it was written in the fucking 90s, all right? They wrote it to be a Spielberg film. Spielberg said this is too dark, and he bounced. As a result, what we're left with is a 1990s film that is made now. It's set in the 90s, which you don't really realize if you've smoked too much weed. and then people have to tell you that on the internet. And then it's like if Seven happened, but instead of being the insane ending that we all mock, just nothing happened. Like, it is the movie Seven if Seven was less good and less intense and had less of a good storyline, and instead of Morgan Freeman, it's Denzel Washington, and instead of Brad Pitt, it's Rami Malek.
Yeah, okay.
Like, it has all of the elements of the 90s psychological thrillers that we remember, except this one, Barrett. This one was left alone, and Spielberg said, no, it's too dark. It wasn't too dark. It was too shit. He didn't like it. It was bad. The ending is ass. Everything about this didn't need to be made.
Right. There's nothing wrong with a script being from the 90s.
No.
Inherently.
No.
Right? Like, you can do a movie in the 90s if you want. That sounds cool to me.
I would prefer it at this point, frankly.
But yeah, you still have to execute on the storytelling. And
they didn't do that point.
And if the ending is no good or leaves you wanting, then, I don't know if I want to commit to the movie.
Look, this isn't Game of Thrones where you got 6 perfect seasons and then they flopped the ending. This is, you got 2 hours of overacting and a lot of fucking... Rami Malek, that guy sucks. He was good in Mr. Robot.
Yeah.
He, just like Jesse Pinkman was good in Breaking Bad. Guess what? Aaron Paul's been one of the worst actors in the world, and everything else he's been in since. That guy Rami is working his way towards Aaron Paul camp.
I am not sure that there are some bad Oscar wins, but his Oscar win for Bohemian Rhapsody
is one of the more random of all
probably time. Will go down as one of the worst ever. And did Bohemian Rhapsody win Best Film?
I want to say yes. And all of that aged like shit.
No. It was nominated for Best Picture, but it did not win. Thank goodness.
The decisions in that Academy Awards have not aged wonderfully.
Rami Malek did win though, and
the man isn't good. And look, I'm not a trained actor. I don't know a whole lot. I've just watched enough movies to know what's good and what's not good. And dude isn't good. There isn't an argument to be made in the other camp. I don't understand what happened with this film. Jared Leto desperately needs redemption for everything that's happened over the past several years. He keeps getting like an opportunity and just like fucking... You've seen Schitt's Creek.
Yep.
Season 1 of Schitt's Creek, the dude that was in the movie Something About Mary.
Chris Elliott, yeah.
Chris Elliott. They really go lazy on his stomach first few episodes. They're like, just stick the pillow in there. It's actually kind of funny that it looks stupid. That's Jared Leto in this entire movie. They were like, he's a serial killer, so he doesn't take care of himself. So he's got a little pooch. Let's stick one of your grandma's couch cushions in there. That'll do.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't get it. This is not worth watching at all if you're not a huge psychological thriller fan that loves this dark, weird shit.
Yeah.
Like, it brought nothing new to the table. It accomplished absolutely nothing.
The Discord was popping off about it, and the court is strong, of course.
Court is very strong.
And that sealed its fate of me not watching this. Now, here's what's fun about the 2021 HBO Max Warner Brothers slate. We didn't like this one. It didn't hit. Well, guess what? We got another one coming next month, and this one looks. This is not one that was on my radar when the list of titles dropped. But now that they are starting to show trailers for this one, it looks very, very interesting and very relevant for our times. It's the Judah and the Black Messiah.
Oh yeah,
with names are slipping my mind.
Daniel Kaluuya, Lakeith
Stanfield, yes.
Jesse Plemons.
Yeah. And Daniel, what's his last name again? It's
Daniel
kind of tough to say, right?
Kaluuya.
Yeah.
It's Kaluuya. Excuse me if I'm mispronouncing, sir.
Yeah, and Lakeith Stanfield, who's awesome in Atlanta. Both those guys look like they are bringing powerful performances to this thing. And
Jesse Plemons.
And Jesse Plemons looks like he's doing the Jesse Plemons thing, where like you're probably going to want to punch him in the face like 80 times.
Yep, he's good at that. Martin Sheen is in this film.
Yeah, so this one maybe could be better. Maybe a little bit more up our alley.
But it might work for us. This next one, Barrett, it's going to be ours. Anyway, the little things you don't need to watch unless you're obsessed with this type of thing, and even then you'll just be disappointed. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that. I give it 2 very disgruntled thumbs down. Barrett, you and I wanted to talk today about something that has come up many times over the course of our friendship.
Yes, yeah.
It's massive movies you somehow missed.
Yeah.
We all have these, right?
We all have these. Mine over the course of many years have been pretty surprising, especially for somebody that considers themselves, a big-time entertainment buff.
If you've listened to our podcast for many years, then you've heard some of Barrett's.
Right. And for many years in my younger days, late high school through early college, the ones that I was missing were like the big gangster films. I'd never seen Scarface. I'd never watched the Godfather trilogy. Like,
right.
Those were the big ones. It was just like, what? How have you not watched these movies? I'm glad I didn't watch them until I did, to be quite frank.
I'm standing by his decisions.
I'm not really sure how like a 17-year-old appreciates The Godfather. Do you know what I mean?
They don't. Not on a full level. It's like that thing you got to watch again later in life, and then you're like, oh.
So somehow I was chatting with Laura this weekend, and we got on to a few of the movies that are now on my outstanding list.
Okay.
Now, all 3 of these movies, they're egregious offenses.
Yeah.
The thing is, I know a lot about each of them, and I've seen many of the scenes many times, but for all 3, I have never sat down and watched the movie straight through with no gaps or no commercials, and just like appreciated the film whole cloth.
So do you think that's part of the reason that you're not motivated to go and watch them full? It's because you know stuff about them. It's been spoiled for you some. It's come this cultural. Yeah, it's like
totally. But I do need them.
Right.
Like they're ones that you just like.
You have to have.
You have to have if I'm going to talk about film and make references to film.
I've got a couple as well that are gonna really fuck people up.
So I just wanted to address those and come here for confession and tell you what they are.
Yeah, and it's time, Barrett. Confess.
I'm going to go from what I think is the least egregious to the most egregious. Okay, least egregious is The Shining.
This is your least egregious.
This is my least egregious.
Does not bode well for the rest of your list.
No, it does not. It's a genre film. It's a horror film. It's the oldest of the 3.
How you heard me jack off on this movie for like 10, 15 years and you still haven't watched it? It's just mind-blowing. I'm out here. I think I talked off the sequel.
Yeah.
Like a month and a half ago.
Doctor what? Dr. Sleep?
Sleepy Strange, whatever. Dr. Somebody, hell, I don't
know. But yeah, like I couldn't, and I know Kubrick and Jack Nicholson and like the whole thing, and the chick that looks like
all work and no
play
makes Jack a dull boy. She played olive oil.
Johnny. Like I got it.
Yeah, I know.
So
okay.
Again, it makes
this is one that's unmotivating.
It makes it hard to be like, okay,
See, it's one I watched as a little kid, so it fucked me up as a child.
Right.
Ruined years of my life. And then, so now I can appreciate it as an adult and watch it and remember how traumatic my childhood was and be forced into PTSD that takes me back to therapy.
Okay, second.
The Shining, though, that's a shocking one.
Here in a second. Oh, it gets worse. The second one is Shawshank Redemption. It's literally the #1 movie on IMDb's top 250. It is it's their highest ranked movie.
Okay, this one's really, really weird. How the like, here's the thing. Here's the thing about Shawshank that makes it unbelievable that you haven't seen it. It's on TV
all the time.
All the time. So all you have to do really is get sick or hungover at the right time and just sit your ass there for 4.5 hours, Barrett. But because of commercials. In your case, as an anti-long film buff, this one was for the same reasons as The Shining, too. You know a lot of the classic scenes. You've seen them referenced in Family Guy as an example that pops straight into my mind. Like, I mean, it's just referenced so much in pop culture that you feel like if you haven't seen it, like you missed the boat, sort of. And it's really long.
Out of the three, this one is the least interesting to me.
But let me ask you this. What do you know about Shawshank Redemption in terms of the storyline?
I know, so it's the one that I know the least about. Like, I can fake my way through these other two,
okay,
through talking about them and having seen them because I've seen enough scenes.
Right.
This is the one that I know the least about and that I have the least interest in filling in the gap, despite it being the #1 ranked movie on IMDb.
I felt that same way before I watched it, though.
I don't know. It seems sappy. It's like two guys like bonding over each other because they're in prison for crimes they didn't commit, and then they tunnel out, and then one of them has to live for the other because one of them tragically dies or something. Do I have it right? That's what the movie is, right?
That's it. No, but sort of. But yeah, but no. Look, I'm partially giving you some credit here. Something about Shawshank, before I saw it, I don't know if it was the name, the actors, and the way they presented to us through the commercials or the trailer or something, but it was nothing appealing about this movie to me. And I love prison shit. Mm-hmm. I watched Oz on HBO. I watched the dude from fucking, oh my God, what's that actor's name now who's in everything? He's the drum coach in the movie where he yells at the guy who can't drum fast enough.
J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons. I watched J.K. Simmons take a shit. I'm sorry. I watched J.K. Simmons get his mouth shit in on Oz on HBO because I was watching prison stuff so much. I still wasn't intrigued by Shawshank. Something about it it didn't really connect with like our generation in terms of the way, what were you getting out of this?
Can you fucking imagine getting the script for that character
and being like,
I have to what now?
Oh, so you're in prison and you're a white supremacist, and the dude you're trying to groom to be your bitch is going to throw a barbell bench down on your neck and take a shit in your mouth. And he was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. That's the show. That was a real show on HBO. Everybody who's like, oh man, HBO is so hardcore now. It's like, you didn't watch Oz, motherfucker. Every episode, there was a 6 shanking minimum. It was like a Dothraki wedding ×2. Every episode. Nuts. Anyway, I don't know how you missed that one. Phenomenal movie. You have to watch it someday. It is great. I promise you. It's one of those ones where it's like a great book almost. It's like everybody likes it for a different reason.
Yeah.
Ignore the masses and just read the fucking thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Okay. Most egregious here. Now, there is a chance that I did actually see this movie when I was a young child.
Which makes it even more egregious that you don't know. What
Younger child all the way through. Because this one is the one that I know the most about and can definitely I have definitely seen every scene of this movie.
Passion of the Christ.
I've just never sat down and watched it in order one whole sitting.
Passion of the Christ.
Forrest Gump.
Oh, fuck, dude. I don't think we can do the show anymore. All right, we're going to turn off the cameras and the podcast microphones because Barrett and I have just been fired by ourselves.
Now, before you guys all start throwing stones
How?
And getting mad at me and getting into DMs in the Discord, which is strong, I just sit back and ask yourself if you have seen Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. And if you haven't, you have no stone to throw. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I do agree with that. You shouldn't throw stones if you live in a glass house.
Which doesn't own the DVD of Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift.
Exactly. That is the age-old saying everybody knows. Okay, wow. This is like...
Again, I know...
You've seen every scene in the movie.
Yeah.
Just never sat down and watched it all the way through.
Yeah, because this one is one that is on cable all of the time.
Yeah. But unlike Shawshank, you can kind of jump in at any moment and be okay.
Yes,
Shawshank, it's like you can't. That just doesn't work that way.
And because what Forrest Gump is like it's a little collection.
Walk through American history.
Walk through American history. It's a little collection of stories about how this guy was was basically a little part of the entirety of the mid 20th century.
Yeah.
So it's like you can jump in and you'd be like, oh yeah, it's the Vietnam War scene. Like, this is Lieutenant Dan playing ping pong. Like,
heroin. JFK.
Yeah.
If he's meeting
He shows
the
him his
president,
ass.
he's
Yeah.
got to pee.
So this is.
He even knows the scenes.
Yeah, no. While, like I said, while this one is the most egregious, it is also the one where I have actually seen pretty much the entire movie. I've just never sat down and watched it front to back as it was meant by Mr. Zemeckis.
So for me, because it's like, Barrett is one of the people I have spoken to the most in my life over the past 2 decades. For me, I'm running back in my mind. Like, God knows how many times I've said, I'm not a smart man, but I know what love is. And who knows if it hit or missed every time.
Of course it hit.
Jenny, I was running, Jenny. I was running. That movie fucking rules. Dude, so do you not like Tom Hanks? What's your problem?
I'm not a big Tom Hanks. I'm not either way on Tom Hanks.
Now we're being canceled by everyone.
I love Tom Hanks. You will remember that we gave great praise for Tom Hanks when he was bestowed the award last year. It was at the Golden Globes, maybe.
I think so. Whenever it was.
Charlize Theron.
Yeah, she couldn't shut up about how it was awkward.
Great guy. I love Tom Hanks as a celebrity and as a person.
As an actor, you don't really give a shit one way or the other.
I'm like, I could, no, I'm still being too callous here.
Okay.
I like Tom Hanks, but Tom Hanks in a movie, I'm not like, oh, fucking Tom Hanks. God, I love that guy.
See, I'm not either.
You know what
I'm not there anymore where it's like, if it's a Tom Hanks movie, I have to see it immediately. Like,
more because I know what a Tom Hanks, like, I've seen The Post. I've seen the one, Bridge of Spies.
I watched that too. I thought it was quite good, but it was long and drawn out and okay.
Yeah, they're Tom Hanks movies.
Yeah,
right?
You're right. You're right.
He plays like a good,
I watched
nice
the Mr. Rogers
guy,
one and
good, nice
shit.
guy that does the right thing when it matters, and there we go.
Captain Phillips and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So
kind of know what you're getting at this point.
The guy the guy that he plays in movies like doesn't always signal like, yeah, I want to see that movie.
All right, I'm cool with that take, and I think, look, it's just a random one for you never to have again, like a sick day or like a 4th of July where like you got hit by a taxi cab and had to be hospitalized and watch Forrest Gump.
Yeah, now I'm gonna do this one soon. I'm gonna watch Forrest Gump all the way through very soon.
Can I say that when you do, I would like to spend at least 20 minutes discussing the film that week?
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Because Forrest Gump is a really fun movie to talk about, man. And it's one of the things that makes it so good is that it is like, that's just good content through and through. That ain't even a movie. That's like you've seen the whole fucking thing and you've never even seen the whole fucking thing.
Right.
Not many movies can accomplish that. You have to be an incredibly famous and good movie to pull that off.
Yes.
But the thing that everyone listening to this podcast will wonder forever is how you could possibly find yourself in a position where you haven't seen Forrest Gump when you've seen the Fast and the Furious franchise several times through. And that's the truly shocking thing.
And here's why, Ross, because I had kind of a free night on let's see, this was I can't remember if it was Saturday or Sunday.
Past weekend.
But it was this past weekend, and it was Saturday, and it got a little late. It got to like right about 10.
Mm.
And there wasn't anything that I needed to put on. Laura was falling asleep on the couch, and so I just had to what should I put on? I thought about many things. First, I thought about finally finishing the Avengers film the one that I haven't seen, Endgame. But that one's like 3.5 hours long, so that one was out. I started bouncing around. Another thing that this little endeavor taught me is that I'm getting really pissed off that I'm paying for God knows how many services now, and that the movies, like every movie just needs to be on one at this point. Stop, like, if I can't find your movie on Prime, HBO, Hulu, Netflix, like...
Then where the hell is it?
Or Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Come on. We're all paying for all of this shit now. All the movies, please go find your cubby hole.
Find a home.
Find your cubby hole so that I can watch your movie without like having to, pay $7 to rent it because I'm already paying $15 for every damn service out there now.
Right.
So all of these movies, by the way, the 3 that I mentioned, none of them are easily streamable right now.
It's a pain in the ass.
And it's a pain in the ass, and that sucks. Anyways, point being, I scrolled around until I settled on the 2010 action film starring Angelina Jolie, Salt. and watch the entire thing.
A wise choice, Barrett. One that I think everyone listening is proud of you for making. Salt.
A movie I've already seen.
10
years ago.
I feel you though, man.
Like,
it's something about that moment though. Like when I'm clicking through and it's like I could watch something new, really expose my brain to some new ideas. Or Barrett, I could watch fucking Salt. And I'm like, that's a comfortable thing for me. I want this. I've seen Salt. I know what Salt entails. I love Angelina Jolie's lips. Let's do Salt.
All things that went through my head.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
My one note about 2010 action film Salt is when you get these are movies that don't really get made all that much anymore. The action film starring an A-list star that is not tied to a franchise of some sort.
Right. It's too risky. Why? Why do it?
Yeah. And this movie, the part that I forgot is that it absolutely sets itself up for a sequel, and a sequel never got made. There was even talk about a TV show at one point, obviously not starring Angelina Jolie.
Oh my God, I watched this movie.
Yeah. So you think about like the big tentpole action films now. They are movies like the Avengers films, or something like a Christopher Nolan movie like Tenet, or a Bourne film, or a Bond film, something like, you know what I mean? Like they're big events, and as such, no expenses spared on these movies. And so if their film is not scored by somebody like Hans Zimmer, they at least have, fucking Adele doing the theme song or whatever, right?
Right.
And that is maybe what stuck out most to me about watching Salt, is that like they had a bunch of good set pieces, and they paid Angelina Jolie probably $20 million or something to do this film, and they had to cut some corners, and where they did it was on the music, which sounds like the rock music that's going in like NBA Live 97. Because
that's not good.
You know what I mean?
That's not what you want.
It's like bad. It was just
generic rock.
Generic action movie scoring that some D-lister probably did.
Frank Jenkins they brought in.
Yeah, they like, oh, hey, he can do it. He'll do it for real cheap.
Yeah, it was some guy who did a movie in like the late 90s that hadn't gotten work since then. That's just ass, and they were like, we can give Frank a try.
That stuck out to me because it's like, now you go to an action film, and like the music is sometimes one of the best parts about it.
Right.
They all have unbelievable scores. So
Mostly
just
Hans.
I don't know, just that stuck out to me.
Salt. About 2010's action film Salt.
Yeah.
It's important that we should. Oh, my two movies that I haven't watched that are really, really shocking.
Yes, let's hear yours.
So, and I'll paint this in the worst way possible. As a dude who spent several hundred hours of his life watching The Sopranos, I've spoken a lot about Goodfellas, Casino, The Godfather trilogy, number 2 being my favorite. We're doing a podcast on a rewatch of The Sopranos right now. For me to be as obsessed with organized crime films and the mafia and all the like Cosa Nostra movies, and to have not seen these two is fucked up.
Okay.
And the two I haven't seen are Donnie Brasco, starring Johnny Depp, in which he is a mafia rat, I believe named Donnie Brasco, and then Reservoir Dogs. Reservoir Dogs is one of the ones that falls into the same camp as yours. I've kept catching pieces of this in college and shit a lot.
Yep.
I don't know why everybody wanted you to. You know what? This is what it is. I didn't watch Reservoir Dogs because everybody who wanted you to think they were a film buff in high school and college talked about Reservoir Dogs, and it was like, well, fuck all y'all. Like, seriously, that was it. It was a massive turnoff. And I remember watching like 5 minutes of it at one point and being like, no, I'm fucking out.
If you want to be seen as like a Tarantino head,
you have to watch Reservoir Dogs.
You say that your two favorite movies from him are Reservoir Dogs and Jackie Brown.
Yeah. That way nobody's seen them that's our age, and they can't critique you one way or the other. But that was the thing.
Pulp Fiction was good, but it's really derivative from Reservoir Dogs, and Samuel Jackson is actually better in Jackie Brown.
Yeah. See, now Barrett's an expert, and everybody knows that he's smarter than all of us here right now with those takes. But seriously, this one, like, I love Steve Buscemi. If you told me right now there's a Steve Buscemi stars in a Quentin Tarantino movie, do you want to watch it? I'd be like, yes, I'll even pay you $5 for that right now. Let's go. Let's go watch it. That sounds awesome. And it exists, and it's called Reservoir Dogs, and I've never felt even the slightest fucking temptation to go watch this thing, ever. Ever. So, Reservoir Dog heads, go ahead and eat your heart out. Those are the two for me that for somehow, some way, I see them all the time, Barrett, as options on different streaming services, and I scroll right past and end up on Salt, because I do not care. I don't know why. They just never hit me the way that they needed to. And so those are my two I'll throw you today in terms of massive movies that I somehow missed.
Definitely not as bad as mine, but I appreciate you trying.
No, I did try very hard, but let's be honest, I don't think anyone in the world could compete with you in this realm. This is as a dude who's had a TV and film podcast for like
many years
now.
Yeah.
And that has the wealth of knowledge you do on tentpole franchises such as The Fast and the Furious. It's just shocking to hear you admit to things like not having seen Forrest Gump front to back. I will forever be confused by that, but a fun topic nonetheless.
Yes, indeed.
Y'all hit us with all the ones y'all missed too, by the way.
What else we got today?
That's it. That's all I got.
I wanted to talk about. Okay, let me throw out one other thing that I watched this weekend.
Throw it at me.
There is let me preface this by saying everybody is sort of talking about this, but not really talking about it because everybody also says that it's important that you go in knowing as little as possible.
Okay, what is it?
There is a documentary / live recording film of a small show that was done in New York City, 550 nights or something, and it's called the film is called In and of Itself. And again, just in keeping with what everybody is how everybody is talking about this movie, I don't want to say too much. So if this is something that you're interested in watching and you're right about to do it, you may just want to skip ahead for a couple minutes, because I will give a few comments about it that will illuminate sort of what it's about.
Sure.
It's basically a one-man show where Derek Delgadio is the guy's name, has essentially taken his sleight of hand kind of magic act.
Okay.
And turned it into something far more profound that's kind of like all about like identity and the way that you perceive yourself and the way that the world and your surrounding peers kind of see you.
Okay. So this is like a very original performance concept.
Yes.
I love shit like this.
And so there are a lot of moments here where, and now definitely like kind of, fast forward if you don't want spoilers, if you don't want any review about it. What I really liked about watching this was that the audience is very much a part of it.
Okay.
It's a very small theater, and the way that it's shot and the way that it's filmed is really cool because it reminds me of that feeling, that communal experience of
being
like
in a
sitting
theater?
down for a show.
Yeah. Which we don't get.
And like
right
you
now.
get a little bit of that in a movie, but you really get it at a live show like this.
It's different at a theater.
A theater.
Because you're literally watching the people act. And
That's
it's
right.
that right there in front of you.
Yeah. And so that was really, really cool to kind of like just get a small teaspoon of that feeling, Like it's not the same, obviously, but you recall basically.
Gotcha.
It's been a damn year now, and who knows when the last time like that you did get to go to a show prior to the pandemic was. So it was very, very nice, that piece of it. Now at the same time,
It's on Hulu, by the way.
it's on Hulu. Yeah,
Derek Delgadio's In and of Itself.
At the same time, you can also one of the things that you may or may not brush up against is the fact that what he kind of pulls off and some of the stuff that he says reads a little hokey or cheesy.
Okay.
Watching the film, whereas that if you were there surrounded by 300 other people, shoulder to shoulder, witnessing this for yourself,
would hit different.
You know that it hits different, and you buy in, and you go all in, and you let it hit you in the face.
Yeah.
And sitting on your couch,
it's a little. You can't as
watching
much.
it just doesn't happen the same way. But it's really interesting.
Like you said, though, that's the magic of theater. That's the full feeling of it.
Yeah.
When you're there.
It is really interesting. It's only 90 minutes, so it's definitely not like I can throw this one at you and be like, don't know if you're going to love this or not, but it's 90 minutes, so you should check it out if you're into this type of performance art. If
you're not giving everyone who watches it the right to come murder you if they don't like it because it's not 3.5 hours long.
That's exactly
Gotcha.
right. Yeah. And especially if you're kind of if you have an interest in stuff like sleight of hand or it's not even really. Some of it goes into like illusion.
Michael.
tricks are something a whore does for money.
Or cocaine.
But what's I think what's cool about some of the things that he does is that it's very much. I watch it and I don't think like, oh, how'd he do that?
Okay.
Right? It's more like that is a very well practiced thing that he just did.
Yeah.
So it's got some cool elements to it. It's worth watching. It's only 90 minutes, and I mean, you know, I'm a pretty cynical person, and I could kind of go in on this a little bit. So if it might be something that you could really, if you really just want to turn off all the lights, shut off your phone, sit down on the couch and let it wash over you, you might really get something out of it.
Oh,
so
that's what I like to do, sir. That's what I like to do. I had not seen anything about this, and I'm very interested in and of itself on Netflix. And anything that's like a really original angle that you can't even really explain exactly what it is because you're not like it's not really been something you've experienced before, I'm in for.
In and of itself on Hulu, not Netflix.
Hulu, excuse me, Hulu's misspoke. Hulu. Right on. Anything else to share with us today?
That's all. That's all I got. Did you want to touch on Evan Rachel Wood at all?
I mean, I guess something that people should be aware of if they want to read the story and look into it more. But obviously, there's been a lot of speculation over the past, I don't know, decade plus of Evan Rachel Wood, the actress who stars in Westworld, as many of us know her now. She's spoken to her past experiences with abuse, sexual abuse, abuse within her relationships. And one of those relationships was always assumed to be known celebrity rock star Marilyn Manson. And basically the development in the story is that she had never named Manson directly.
Yep.
Yesterday she did.
Yes.
And as a result of a big coming together of several other women, I think up to 20 women have come forward at this point claiming alleged abuse against Marilyn Manson. It is a big story. It's a really big story. And Evan Rachel Wood, sort of one of the, I would say, leaders in the Me Too movement in Hollywood, has continued to sort of, I mean, that's the amazing thing about that story to me. We already did Me Too. Like, not that it's not still going and isn't eternal or whatever, but like, she didn't come out then.
Right.
That's how bad this was.
Yep.
That it took even further, her even further examining the situation and even further dealing with it on her side, even further therapy, I'm sure, before she got to a place where she was like, I am now comfortable enough to do this.
Right.
And that is one of the obviously biggest takeaways for men throughout the course of this Me Too movement is like, most of us don't have an understanding for what that even means. To grasp the concept of being too afraid to come forward with something someone did to you as a man is a way less understandable thing than it is for women in our society typically. And it's just like, it blows my mind every time that we're exposed to one of these stories, how much of it goes on at the highest levels of celebrity and in Hollywood and entertainment, and just something to be aware of.
Yeah, and you know, as we continue through these years and through this kind of like a reckoning, I think one of there are obviously like many benefits of kind of this like cleansing, right, for all of this to like come to the surface. And one of them is obviously, and we talk about this with Black Lives Matter and the civil rights, the modern civil rights movement, as well as just like knowledge and awareness and like you learning things. And with this one, with the Marilyn Manson thing, and also with the Armie Hammer accusations, like one of the things that like is something that we probably haven't talked about or thought about or kind of collectively responded to as like a society is this term called grooming.
Right.
And that's something like, for me, that's like something that's now in the lexicon, right?
Yes.
And something to know about and look
with
for
Raniere,
and understand.
With
and
Jeffrey Epstein, we know like, these words now.
You know, the victims, it's like it's almost like this cult brainwashing thing where you start off slow and then are
get your foot in the door, gain their trust.
You continually push the envelope and push the envelope and push the envelope a little bit and a little bit and a little bit until like
it's a long con, man.
Until it is full scale abuse and your victim doesn't realize that they're being abused, or that it's happening, or that process has happened, and it's really, I don't know. I mean, of course, it's obviously fucked up, but it's like it's just kind of scary to think about too. And I mean, you know,
same thing, Barrett. Like the thing about the vow that was so wild was Mark saying, nobody joins a cult,
right?
Right? Nobody joins an abusive relationship out of volunteering. It is a process. It is something that is put upon you over time. It's not immediate. It's not wake up one day and your partner's abusive, and it's clear as day. It's a slow build, and that's the thing that makes it so scary. And that with Manson, and when they started dating, him and Evan Rachel Wood, she was like 18, he was like 38.
Yeah.
And it's like that kind of thing where we would have looked at that in Hollywood in the 90s or whatever and been like, ooh, it's kind of quirky. He's so artsy and dark, and like dating this young, beautiful woman. It's so cool. And like he was able to get away with so much of this as his art. It's stuff that now if you did it, we would be like, yeah, you're done. You're out. Sorry, Chief. This is all fucked. But at that point, it played. And it just fit. Like he was openly talking about abusing her in interviews and doing weird fucked up shit like casting an actress who looked just like him to be in a music video where the music video was him just beating the shit out of this woman for several minutes. Like it is bizarre looking back that it took this long for but that's the thing about this abuse, and that's the thing that makes it so dangerous and so horrifying, and that as little fun as it is to end the show discussing something like that today, it is very important that all of us continue to become more and more aware and educated on how situations like this become, how they unfold, and how they work, so that we can keep an eye out for those around us and keep as many people safe as we can. So on that note, obviously takes an enormous amount of strength, and Evan Rachel Wood continuing to be active in this space is huge for all women and very commendable. And I hope she's getting all of the help that she needs along her path to healing. That will do it for today's episode of OCC, produced by Myrriah, Gossett, and Mike Moody Garcia of Permanent Record Studios in Austin, Texas. Huge thanks again to our sponsor, Bluechew. Go to bluechew.com. Use the code OCC to try it for free. You just pay $5 in shipping. How about that? Isn't that great? Isn't that great? Get you some hard penis. Huh? Right? Bluechew.com, code OCC. And if you already have all the Blue Chew that your little peen can desire and process, then guess what? You can support our show directly by going to patreon.com/oysters, clams, cockles, and take on The Sopranos week by week with Barrett and I. We're closing in on episode 10 of season 1 this week. We're going to watch, and I think there's a couple more in season 1, few more. Nobody knows exactly how many episodes there are in season 1 of The Sopranos. Nobody's ever gone back and looked, but we're doing the whole season on Patreon.
We are going to find out.
Ad-free.
You can too, if you join up.
You must join up. Patreon, patreon.com/oysters, clams, cockles. Whether you've watched The Sopranos before or you haven't, it doesn't matter. Barrett never watched. I've seen it several times. It's spoiler-free and fun, or not free, but fun for all. Minimum of just a $5 pledge to support our show and receive all The Sopranos ad-free exclusive episodes that month. And you could also join the Mollusk Militia, support even more and get even more. Check out the tiers on Patreon. Join which one makes the most sense to you and take on The Sopranos with us week by week. Episode 10 of Season 1 dropping this Thursday. Barrett and I very much looking forward to that. So thank you to everybody who's already there. And welcome to those of you who join us this week. It has been incredibly fun so far.
Every time you spell Patreon and you start spelling Patreon, I think that you're doing the PARTY because I gotta.
And then I never do it.
And you never do it.
It's disappointing.
I'm just like, it's Pavlovian. You start saying PRR, and I'm just like, oh, he's doing it this time.
He's doing it this time. This is it. No, not this time. PATREON .com/oysters.
Now you don't even know how to spell.
I don't even know how to spell now. Thanks, Barrett. Social media. We're on social media. You've heard of social media. We have Instagram @Oysters, Clams, Cockles, Twitter @Clams and Cockles, Facebook.com/Oysters, Clams, Cockles. I'm Ross Bolen. You can follow me @WRBOLEN on all the socials. Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat @WRBolen. And catch me on twitch.tv/BossRollin a few times a week. And also listen to the Ross Bolen podcast for mental health and humor. Mr. Dudley, where can we follow you on social media?
Oh, check me out @Barrett Dudley on Instagram and Twitter.
Woo! Love that. We'll be back on Thursday for The Sopranos Season 1, Episode 10. We'll be back next week on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube.com/Bolen Media, where you can watch every episode of OCC that drops during the week on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. publicly. Until our next helping. Adios, muchachos.